International Journal of Applied Linguistics, a Volume 14 and Number 3, 2004. Non-native speaker teachers and English are an international language. Enrique Lerda, University of Lleida. This article reviews the recent literature on English as an international language, EAL, taking into consideration the main implications of such literature for English language teaching. Relevant research on non-native speaker, NNS, teachers is discussed, together with their role in the context of the global need for English language teachers, especially in EFL countries. It is claimed that the confluence of recent research on EAL, together with the increasing appreciation of NNS teachers, both in ESL and EFL contexts, creating the right conditions for the gradual acceptance of English as a lingua franca, with the consequence of a decrease in the role of native speaker teachers in setting the principles and norms on which this lingua franca will be taught in the future. English as an international language. Without any doubt, the way English is perceived all over the world has recently undergone a great deal of change in arenas devoted to multilingualism and to the preservation of the wealth and variety of languages in the world. Criticism is commonly made the aggressive expansion of English at the cost of other languages, which has prompted some scholars to toss the labels killer language. Parker 1991, Mulhorsler 1996, and Tyrannosaurus rex, Swales 1997, to refer to it. In less politically charged domains, linguists are also paying attention to the current situation of English as a global language, Crystal 1997, and developing models that help us speculate about its future evolution, Gradle 1997, 2001. Likewise, language researchers and educators are increasingly embracing the fact that English is spoken by more people as an L2 than as a mother tongue, and consequently, they are taking on board the notion that English is no longer exclusively owned by the native-speaking communities, but that its ownership is also shared by newly arrived members of the English-speaking community, non-native speakers, who therefore have a right to be heard in matters affecting the language. Widowson 1994. The powerful consequences of such a groundbreaking idea are still to be seen in full, but many changes are starting to take place in the areas language teaching and language testing, as is clear from a recent study by Blackwell Publishing Limited 2004, 9600, Garsington Road, Oxford, OX4, 2DQ, UK, and 350 Main Street, Malden, Massachusetts, 02148, USA. Essay by Ivy Pand Degree, Academic Writing for Non-Native Speakers of English, exclusively available on Ivy Panda. In the 21st century, the use of technology became a part of daily life. The teachers are using it to their advantage to transfer knowledge to students. The downside is that there are also some disadvantages. One of the disadvantages faced by teachers is the possibility of students to use their online resources without any control. The unauthorized use of online resources, plagiarism, and numerous sources will greatly increase the students' chances to use it to their advantage without relying on their own intelligence. Also, a student may discuss the topics given with other students, as well as other people. This would make the workless individual, and the views expressed and information used will be representative of a collective of people, instead of that particular student. To combat this problem, teachers can use an open book policy, which will give students the resources to find their information and focus their work and attention on analyzing the knowledge presented through expression of their own opinion and logical contemplation of the topic itself. Another disadvantage for both teachers and students is the technology itself. Sometimes there are problems with downloading, loading, and the speeds of the connection or the work of the computer. And this fact itself can become a disadvantage to the teachers, since a student can say that their computer has broken down or their internet connection has failed. But the advantages of technology greatly outweigh the disadvantages. One of such examples is the fact that teachers have the ability to research and analyze online sources and information. Before giving out the assignments, they could pull this knowledge into one database, cooperate with other teachers to collect the data and then examine the work of the students with the acquired material. As their JS an extremely great amount of information. On the internet, it would be very hard for a single teacher to do it alone. But by using the technology, teachers can work as a unit and be more productive. A huge advantage is that with a great amount of software and people who can work on and create this software with numerous capabilities, there are programs that can store all the topics and assignment ideas in one place and then electronically generate a random order of assignment questions. This will guarantee. Brian Swan, ed. Smoothing the Ground, Essays on Native American Oral Literature. Burkell Y., University of CA Lyforn IA Press, 1983, 19, 364 pp. $24.95 cloth, $9.95 paper. The red and black Chumash Pictiga APH reproduced on the cover of Smoothing the Ground shows an alert human figure poised amidst a group of animal and bird people, all related by the stars that are their hands and feet. As Ken Roma, one of the contributors to this collection of essays on Native American ethnopoetics, says the constellation tar les give listeners relatives in the sky. Stories, like star feet, reflect Thiscaneap. Smoothing the Ground, edited by Northumbrian poet Brian Swan, head of Hum Ani Ties at the Cooper Union, is a groundbreaking study in the literary arts of North American and Mesoamerican Icon Indians. The 20 full essays comprising this volume raise a variety of cues Tiansabo, the NA tour of the relationships between tribal people, their land and their languages. Swan's anthology has a broader scope than any of the other fine books available, such as traditional American Indian literatures or In Vain I Tried to Tell You, which address many of the same concerner, discussing tribal cultu residential as diverse as Clackamas Chinook, Zuni and Nahua. The scholars include Dede in this text employ a variety of a Prochesto Traditi onal material, despite there being no Native American scholars represented here, for which Swan apologizes. For the most part these authors have solid literary sensibilities and close contact with native poets and storytellers and, regrettably, S1 has not included an index and comprehensive bibliographical resources, but the two essays specifiably Ra-Fis and the Clackamas, Chinook and Hopi dual-langu age texts do provide su BSTA NCE and point the way towards new directions in American Indian literary erudicism. Native American literatures are oral at heart. Even when written, these essays show the complex iddy and durability of oral traditions, countering the popular misconception that Indian stories are childish or quaint. Paul Zollbrod, a scholar of Navajo poetics, says, one of the lingering effects of racism here in America is that literary erudits and trained scholars have not yet understood the important place poetry usurps among Indians, because most of us have been trained to associate leader a chore with print. We have to alt exclusively with what has been composed in writing. What Zollbrod refers to as the important place poetry occupies among Indians is the way in we poetry, so ing chant, narrative, is enacted in the tribal community where the audience participates in recreating the event. Described in the story Dernis Tedlock considers oral narrative to be dramatic poetry because of this performative dimension to the literature. And Carl Kroeber in his essay The Wolf Comes Indian Poetry and Linguistic Criticism. Explorations in Sights and Sound DS. Number 4, Summer 1984. Linda Thornton English 1102-0494-13. To whom it may concern. Call for action through education. Thornton. When it comes to colonialism, most people are under the impression that a developed country can change an underdeveloped one for the better. The savages obtain medicine, technology, religion, and a new, better way of life. The issue this presents is that the dominating culture focuses on everything they gave to them instead Of what all they took away. Colonization affected the Native Americans in many ways, such as diet, the amount exercise they take part in, sexually transmitted diseases, and drug addictions. Epilepsy and syphilis have been trademarks of their nodionality, even though there are ways to treat syphilis and help with the symptoms of epilepsy. Traditional native healing practices have been skipped over in Western medicine, and in many cases, traditional healing has been completely forgotten due to Americanization. Studies show that modern Native Americans also have much higher rates of illness than the average American. The death rate among Native Americans for diabetes is 3 times higher than the general population, 6 times as high for alcohol abuse, and 60% higher for suicide. Horowitz 24. With this knowledge, it is apparent the Native Americans are not better off with the presence of European influence and should receive better education on healthcare in order to teach and the pre-Columbian Native Americans generally had a very high consumption of seafood, white-tailed deer, and maize, all of which were important staples of their diet. Lesson 53. 63. Although the rise in the popularity of maize was more than likely associated with a more spiritual approach, seeing as how they had a goddess, it made a negative impact on their teeth and bone density due to their. Despite all of this, they had a relatively healthy diet compared to that of an average American, especially in the case of the essay by Speedy Paper. Source: https://speedypaper.com/essays/discussion-about-Native-American. Essay sample with a discussion about Native American essay. The American nation is comprised of many Native American tribes. Among them are the Nez Perce, Navajo, Crow, and Cheyenne. These are some of the few Native American tribes that are present in Teton Tit Exters to an extensive area covering about 10 of the available 50 states in America. The current paper discusses the features of this facet, current issues the group is facing, and the various ways ethers faced oppression and inequality in the past as well as in their current situation. Characteristics of the Navajo tribe: culture, values, and religion. The tribe's daily life revolves around religion. All the practices, actions, health, social actions, and many others are directly linked to their religion. In addition, their possessions, including land, life, and everything else, are connected to their religion. Bennett. In this aspect, it is evident that they have to connect all their things and wealth to the religion, which is done through conducting prayers and ceremonies, language and weapons. The tribe standard language is the Dine Bazard, Alchin, 2018. However, they portray both verbal and non-verbal characteristics in their communication patterns. For instance, in non-verbal traits, they are known to spend long hours of silence and never share their ideas or thoughts with outside clan members. In their perspective, silence is a crucial act. Bennett. On a verbal approach, they have a complex language that cannot be unwritten since it has no symbols or alphabet letters. Food and clothing. Before being enlightened and the advent of the modern technology. In their diet, they include mutton, corn, wheat, and yucca bananas. However, these were not the only meals for their diet. It comprised of an endless list of items. Their clothes were made of wool and yucca filber. Women wore skirts and blouses while men used breechcloths. Leadership. The Navajos had leaders, and the most notable ones are they. Barboncito and Manuelito. They acted as the tribe leaders. Beliefs. The Dine is believed in the existence of supernatural powers. In their classification, there were ye spirits who act as mediators between humans and the great spirits. Such spirits are known to control the universe and are responsible for rain and other things. Native American essays. Crafting an essay on the subject of Native American essays * is no easy task. It involves navigating a complex and multifaceted landscape of history, culture, identity, and contemporary issues. Firstly, understanding the rich tapestry of Native American history requires delving into a multitude of sources, many of which present conflicting narratives and interpretations. from pre-colonial civilizations to the impacts of European colonization. The history of Native Americans encompasses a vast array of experiences, struggles, and triumphs. Moreover, addressing Native American culture demands sensitivity and respect. It involves grappling with diverse belief systems, traditions, languages, and artistic expressions that vary significantly among different tribes and communities, all attempting to capture the essence of the CLUs in a comprehensive and authentic manner requires careful research and engagement with Indigenous voices and perspectives. Furthermore, discussing contemporary issues facing Native American communities involves confronting systemic challenges such as poverty, healthcare disparities, environmental degradation, and political marginalization. These issues are deeply rooted in historical injustices and ongoing struggles for sovereignty and self-determination. In essence, writing an essay on Native American topics necessitates not only academic rigor but empathy, humility, and a commitment to amplifying Indigenous voices and experiences. It demands a nuanced understanding of historical contexts, cultural diversity, and contemporary realities. Ultimately, while the task may be daunting, it is also incredibly rewarding. By engaging with the complexities of Native American history, culture, and contemporary issues, one can gain profound insights into the resilience, creativity, and enduring legacy of Indigenous peoples. In conclusion, essays exploring Native American topics offer a profound opportunity for learning, reflection, and dialogue. They invite us to critically examine our understanding of history, culture, and identity, and to confront the ongoing challenges faced by Indigenous communities. Through thoughtful exploration and engagement, we can contribute to greater awareness, understanding, and solidarity. Similar essays and much more can be ordered on helpwriting.net.